Most woodworking mistakes don't happen when you're cutting joinery or assembling a project. They happen long before the finish ever touches the wood. And one of the most common is also one of the hardest to recognize. It's called over-sanding. Ironically, it usually comes from trying to do better work, not worse. Almost every woodworker has experienced it. The surface feels smoother with every pass. The wood becomes softer under your fingertips. The temptation is obvious. Just one more pass, maybe one finer grit, maybe a little extra attention around the edges. It feels productive. It feels like craftsmanship. But what if that instinct is actually working against you? Professional furniture makers understand something that many hobbyists eventually learn the expensive way. A perfectly smooth surface is not always a better surface. In many cases, chasing absolute smoothness quietly destroys the crisp geometry, sharp details, and clean appearance that make furniture look professionally built. The strange part is that your hands encourage the mistake. Every additional pass creates immediate feedback. The surface feels better. Your brain rewards the sensation. You become convinced the project is improving. But your eyes would often tell a completely different story. This is where the sanding trap begins. The goal of sanding has never been to make wood feel like glass. The goal is to prepare the surface for the finish while preserving the shape that careful woodworking created. Once sanding begins changing the geometry, instead of simply refining the surface, you've crossed a line that many people never notice. Look closely at professionally built furniture. The corners remain crisp, the transitions between surfaces are intentional. Flat panels stay flat, joinery remains clearly defined. None of that happens by accident. Every edge communicates quality. Unfortunately, sanding doesn't remove material evenly. Most people naturally apply slightly more pressure as they reach corners and edges. Flexible sanding pads bend around those corners. Orbital sanders naturally spend more time on high spots. Over hundreds of tiny movements, those perfectly sharp lines slowly disappear. The change is almost invisible while you're working. But once finish is applied, everything changes. Instead of clean reflections across flat surfaces, light begins bending around softened edges. Shadow lines lose definition. Panels that once looked crisp begin looking slightly inflated. Nothing seems obviously wrong, yet the furniture somehow looks less refined. Many beginners assume this difference comes from expensive tools. It doesn't. It often comes from simply knowing when to stop sanding. Older craftsmen rarely judge surfaces by touch alone. They constantly checked reflections under light. They viewed the surface from low angles. They looked for flatness rather than softness. Their eyes remained the primary measuring tool. Today, many woodworkers rely almost entirely on their fingertips. That's understandable, because touch provides instant feedback. The problem is that our sense of touch rewards smoothness, not geometry. Those are two completely different goals. This creates what many experienced furniture makers recognize as a psychological feedback loop. Every pass feels productive because every pass makes the surface softer. Your brain receives immediate confirmation that you're improving the project. Meanwhile, your carefully cut edges quietly disappear. It's one of the few woodworking mistakes that actually feels successful while it's happening. Think about why this occurs. If someone hands you two boards, you'll almost always choose the smoother one. Your brain naturally associates smoothness with higher quality. Furniture, however, isn't judged by touch alone. It's judged by proportions, by symmetry, by clean lines, by the way light reflects across every surface. Professional furniture depends just as much on preserving geometry as it does on refining texture. That's why experienced woodworkers often stop sanding much earlier than beginners expect. One of the biggest misconceptions in modern woodworking is the obsession with extremely high grit sequences. Many people automatically assume that progressing from 80 to 120 to 180 to 220 to 320 to 400 always produces better results. Sometimes it does, often it doesn't. In fact, many finishes perform better on wood sanded to around 150 or 180 grit. At that stage, the surface is smooth enough for finishing while still allowing stains and protective finishes to penetrate properly. Continue sanding far beyond that point, and something unexpected begins happening. The wood fibers become increasingly polished. Certain finishes struggle to penetrate evenly. Stains may appear lighter than expected. Blotchy areas become more noticeable. The finish can actually lose some of the depth that gives wood its natural beauty. Ironically, all those extra sanding passes may produce a finish that looks less rich instead of more refined. Another hidden danger appears around joinery. Every sanding pass removes material, usually only microscopic amounts. But woodworking depends on accumulated precision. A tiny amount removed from one rail may not matter. The same tiny amount removed from 4 connected joints suddenly creates visible gaps. Edges stop aligning perfectly. Flush surfaces become slightly uneven. Doors reveal inconsistent gaps. Drawers no longer appear perfectly balanced. The project slowly loses the precision that careful layout originally created. None of these problems happen instantly. They accumulate quietly. That's exactly why they're difficult to notice until the project is complete. Professional shops avoid this by changing the way they think about sanding. Instead of chasing maximum smoothness, they chase preparation. Preparation means removing machining marks, removing glue residue, creating consistent scratch patterns, maintaining flat reference surfaces, preserving crisp geometry. Then they stop. Stopping is often the hardest part, because emotionally, stopping feels unfinished. The surface still seems capable of becoming smoother. Technically it can, but craftsmanship isn't about maximizing every individual step. It's about balancing every step together. A perfectly sanded surface means very little if the furniture has lost its clean lines. Many experienced builders use hard sanding blocks whenever flatness matters. Unlike soft foam pads or fingers alone, rigid blocks distribute pressure evenly across the surface. Instead of following small dips and curves, they cut only the highest points. The result is a flatter panel that preserves the original design instead of slowly reshaping it. Another helpful habit is replacing the thumb test with the light test. Rather than constantly rubbing the wood with your fingers, place the board under good lighting. Look across the surface from a very low angle. Small scratches become obvious. Rounded edges become visible. Uneven sanding reveals itself immediately. Your eyes usually detect problems much earlier than your fingertips. This simple habit helps break the endless cycle of just one more pass. Perhaps the most valuable lesson older craftsmen understood is that woodworking isn't about removing as much material as possible. It's about removing exactly enough. Every unnecessary sanding stroke increases risk without adding meaningful improvement. Every extra minute should have a clear purpose. If it doesn't, it's probably time to stop. The real issue isn't that modern woodworkers sand too much because they lack skill. It's that many have confused effort with progress. More sanding feels like more craftsmanship. In reality, restraint often produces the better result. The finest furniture isn't created by polishing every surface until it feels perfect. It's created by preserving the details that make the design feel intentional. Sharp lines, consistent geometry, flat surfaces, clean joinery. Those qualities survive only when the builder knows exactly when enough is enough. If you'd like to learn more practical woodworking principles that help prevent costly mistakes before they happen, there's a structured resource linked in the description that expands on these ideas with complete woodworking plans and proven building methods. And if you enjoy thoughtful woodworking content focused on building smarter instead of simply working harder, consider subscribing. There are many more timeless techniques worth rediscovering, and sometimes the smallest habits make the biggest difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.